my Colombia national team podcast, videocast. Well, more podcast than videocast because FIFA keeps taking down my shit. So I'm gonna have to find a way to, I don't know, maybe change the way I get clips or something, just so shit doesn't get taken down. But this is the pre-game analysis. England versus Colombia versus England, happening here in a couple of hours. And man, the nerves. I think like like this World Cup in particular was pretty bad because every week it was just like, I don't know, I've just been like almost getting nervous every week ever since like Colombia lost against Japan. I mean, they could have been eliminated against Poland, against Senegal, so it was just like, you know, I'll think about it and be like, holy shit, we could get eliminated this week. And it's been going on since the World Cup started. So one more week of possibly not getting to the next round, but I think, you know, Colombia can get to the next round against England here. And a lot of, you know, before I get started with the pre-game analysis, I'm just gonna talk about James Rodriguez, who, you know, it's coming out. I didn't really, I was gonna make like a podcast just for the injury, but man, it's so uncertain. No one knows what's going on right now. Everyone's speculating. You know, some people are saying he's gonna play, that he's not that bad, and then we get the official medical report that says, you know, it's not that bad. It's not the same injury. It's the same injury but on a different leg. So is it a big deal? I mean, you know, no muscles got torn. There's nothing, you know, it's just like a bruise or something. But like, no one knows. So I didn't bother, because then I'll just be speculating, and there's already enough of that going around. So I just decided to just touch base on that right now. Is James gonna play tomorrow? I don't think so. If he does, I'll be really surprised, because that means he's you know, 100% fit. And you know, he just got injured 5 days ago. So for him to be ready to go in that short period of time would be pretty miraculous. But I think, you know, he's not gonna play tomorrow. I think it's probably gonna be Quintero taking over, and, you know, hold steady Colombian hearts. I still think we could, you know, get past England with Quintero. He's almost the exact same player as James, and he's not, I mean, he doesn't have that prolific, you know, that prolific, like not a lot of people know about Quintero. I mean, and if you haven't been watching him, you wouldn't know exactly what he can do, but he can do a lot. And, you know, I'm not too worried. I think even without James, we could still, you know, get a positive result. We could just, you could do the Muriel Uribe thing that happened in France, that game against France, that friendly against France where Colombia won 3-2 with those late goal heroics and that penalty kick by Quintero. But I think that's, you know, that's a path that we can take. And I'll give my starting 11 close to the end. But yeah, James will most likely not play against against England. But I don't think that's gonna, you know, it's not big of a deal. I still think we could pull a positive result nonetheless. But let's talk about the game. All right, Colombia England. The time of the match is 2 p.m. Eastern time. I guess from there, you know, people could take out their iPhones and check out for their time zone. But, you know, 2 p.m. Eastern time. The game is actually being played in Moscow in the Otkriti. Man, it's like, what? Otkriti Arena. I think that's what it is. Otkriti Arena. Maximum capacity is 45,000. And, you know, the last time, before the World Cup, the last game that was held here was the Confederation Cup, and Portugal won 3rd place against Mexico in this particular arena. The time travel for each team: England is traveling about 700 kilometers, which is an hour and 15 minutes by plane. Colombia is traveling 815, which is an hour and a half by plane. This is actually the last game being played at this stadium. So, you know, it's, you know, curtains closing on the Otkriti Arena. But randomly, the next big event that's being held at this particular stadium is a Guns N' Roses concert on July 13th. And I did not know they were still touring. That's crazy. They're Guns N' Roses, they're still touring. I like, holy shit. So at the time of the game, the temperature is going to be around about 12 degrees Celsius. It's going to be kind of cold. I think, it's going to be nighttime. It's going to be like 9 p.m. Sun setting around 8:35 p.m. The head-to-head ranking coming up to this competition, for England, they have a FIFA ranking of 12 and an ELO ranking of 8. Colombia have a FIFA ranking of 13. Oh, it went up. Surprise, surprise, it went up. It went up by 3, I think. And their ELO ranking is 10, so their ELO ranking went down by 1. I mean, I could, I don't know. I'll just let you touch base on the coaches on the head-to-head. I've already, spoken of Peckerman. Played Argentina. He became a coach of the Colombian national team in 2012. He's won the under 20 South American, the under 20 South American, under 20 South American championships in 97 and 99. He won the under 20 World Cup in 95, 97, and in 2001. He started coaching in 1981. Gareth Southgate, who is the English coach, he's played most of his career in England. He played in Crystal Palace, Aston Villa, in Middlesbrough, and 57 appearances for England. He retired at 35, so he had a pretty good career. It's not, retiring at 35 as a football player is actually not that bad. He started coaching in 2006. Is that right? Yeah, he started coaching in 2006 at Middlesbrough. It's a bit controversial because he didn't have the proper licenses to play. He kind of had like a hold my beer, I guess, type of, inauguration. Like I guess you have to be properly licensed to be a coach anywhere on the world, and he decided to skip that. And I guess he got called out on it, but eventually he did get his license, which is good. No one was gonna call him out anymore. But so as I was saying, he got his coaching. He started coaching in 2006 for Middlesbrough, and he eventually got it all figured out, got his license. But unfortunately, he took the team into relegation, and they were booted out of the Premier League, and they started playing the Championship. The Championship is another, I think, is a second division in England. It's like the second division. It's not like as bad as, it's not like an amateur hour or whatever, but it's still a pretty respectable league where everybody gets to come up. And so like he literally in his first, I think he like went 14 games without winning, and then they got relegated, and then they just about were coming back, and then he got fired. I mean, I think they were 1 point away from first place, and I guess they started to fire him. I guess they didn't like the fact that he actually relegated them to the point where they actually fight it out in the second division league. But if we go head to head on this, Peckerman takes it by a long shot. I mean, Gareth Southgate doesn't have any credits to his name, hasn't really won anything, and he just started coaching the English team in 2016. So he's only been there for about 2 years, as opposed to Peckerman, who's been there for going on to 7 years now, but he's been there for 6 years. So I mean, if we have the head-to-head lineup, Peckerman takes it again. And there's little familiarities with England and Poland, where it's almost the same thing. And I mean, they kind of almost play the exact same starting lineup. Well, I mean, like formation-wise, I mean, they have the prolific striker. Poland has Lewandowski, England has Kane, and kind of the coaches are kind of the same, where they don't have that much experience internationally, and really haven't had a chance to be with the team for a long time. So there's a similarity. There's some similarity between England and Poland. And at the head-to-head with the coaches, I think Peckerman takes it by like a long shot. So I mean, that's a plus for us. Colombia's last starting lineup was a 4-2-3-1. It had Arias Arias, Mina, Davinson, Mojica, Sanchez, Uribe, Cuadrado, Quintero, James, and Falcao. Now, the reason why I'm confident that Colombia is gonna get a good result here is, I hope it's not like too loud. But the reason I'm confident that Colombia is gonna get a good result here is because, you know, they've been fighting ever since this World Cup started. I mean, the very first game they were down 10 men and they managed to tie that 1-1 before running out of gas. And against Poland, you know, that was a do or die situation, which they had to win, and they had to be firing on all cylinders. And you know, that Poland game was tough, and I think it could have gone either way. I know Colombia won 3-0, but it could still have gone either way. That's how close I thought it was until the first goal by Yeremina, and then, you know, everything opened up for Colombia. And you know, Poland had to play at Colombia's tempo, and the second goal came, the third goal came, and by that time, you know, the rest is history. And then after that, Colombia had to play Senegal, which was a super tough team. I don't think people really understand how tough Senegal, or how good Senegal was in general, not just because they played Colombia, but they were actually really good. They were well organized, they were fast, they were strong. They studied Colombia very well, so it was like almost, you know, playing into the hand of Senegal, and Colombia managed to get that result. But that's why, you know, and if you look at the way England has been playing this World Cup, you know, they didn't play that great against Tunisia. Tunisia tied it up. It was 1-1, and you know, I think Harry Kane scored with like in the 94th minute, and they got the 3 points like that. Then they faced Panama, who, you know, it's not a very strong team, Panama, and you know, England beat Panama 6-1 or something. And then the one game where they could have, you know, possibly been tested, they rested all their players, which was against Belgium, and they eventually lost that game 1-0 and ended up on this side of the bracket with Colombia. So, you know, I think Colombia has been battle tested, battle hardened. They're coming in here with confidence. So I think that's what's gonna, you know, put the game in our favor. Just the way Colombia got here, all the adverse results that had to make them play for their lives for the past like 2-3 weeks now. So I think that's what's gonna make a difference. But like, again, Colombia played Senegal. It was like a very formidable opponent for Colombia. They studied Colombia extensively. They knew the Colombian national team's DNA. They knew exactly who to cover. They knew what passing lanes to block. It was crazy how well Senegal knew Colombia and their game. Like, you can tell they've been studying, I think, since the draw. So for like 6 months, they just didn't watch World Cup games. They watched the qualifier games, and they kind of knew exactly what the Colombian DNA was for their game and how to beat them. But like I said, Colombia, you know, they managed to turn that situation around and come out with a positive result, which allowed them to be in this round of 16. I know with the injury of James Rodriguez, even in that game, James Rodriguez got injured first period. So, you know, I'm sure when the team just saw him leave, they probably thought it was over. They're like, how are we gonna win this? And, you know, Colombia had to find a way to win. And, you know, it was because that was really the only way to get to the next round. Just fight it out, go toe to toe with Senegal, which was a really bad idea. But you know, some late game heroics by Cuadrado, who managed to get that corner kick in the 70th minute, and you know, that very smart corner kick by Quintero. I don't know if I actually made a breakdown of this in my post match, but it got taken down because FIFA is on crazy. I don't know what their algorithm is right now, but that algorithm is on point. Because I wasn't even using like a FIFA clip. I was using like a clip from another place that from another website, and it still got taken down. But if you go back and look at that 73rd minute goal from Quintero, from Yeremina, what actually happens there is that Senegal made a change, and when the Senegalese player went to the box and and he was asking the other players who to mark. Quintero saw this right away, and he like processed it, and then he kicked the corner knowing that there was Senegal wasn't as organized as it should be, and took advantage of that little moment of chaos and put it right to Yerry Mina, who, as we know, scored that goal. So that was just crazy how Quintero picked up on that, and just shows how smart he is. And he placed it right exactly where Yerry Mina is going, and Mina took advantage of his height and strength to get the ball, and he headed it straight to the ground, and that kind of threw off the keeper, because the ball's going down, keeper looks down, but then it comes back up, and it actually goes in the net with the keeper. So Senegal, I think, was Colombia's toughest opponent this in the World Cup thus far, and just to overcome something like that, that's good for Colombia, because now they're coming in with confidence. Like I said, every adverse situation, they've overcome everything. They've overcome, being 10-man down where they managed to tie it up. They've overcome the loss of their star player in the first period of the game, and just stuff like that. So that's why I think Colombia is gonna have a positive result tomorrow, just because they've been through so much. They know. I think they're tough now. They're in World Cup form, and I don't think it's gonna be tough for England to stop them. But breaking down England, their last formation was a 3-1-4-2. It had Pickford, Cahill, Stones, and Jones. Deer in the middle, Alexander-Arnold, Rose, Loftus-Cheek, and Delph. And at the front, it was Vardy and Rashford. And this starting 11 doesn't really count, because I think they were just taking it easy. But England didn't field their best players against Belgium. They kind of decided to rest them. I think they did that because they were thinking ahead of the round of 16 game. So it's kind of hard to analyze England because of their last game, because they didn't play to win. I think they were just, like I said, they didn't want to be. I think they made there was two decisions for England. Do we want to be on the side of the bracket with Brazil, France, Belgium, Uruguay, Portugal, or do we want to be on the side that has Spain, Russia, Colombia, Sweden, Denmark? And I think they gambled for coming on this side of the bracket, and that's why they didn't field their best players. But their toughest game, like I mentioned, was against Tunisia, which they needed a late goal from Harry Kane just to give England some breathing room for the rest of the World Cup. But Tunisia tied it 1-1, and they closed up, and Tunisia played for that 1 point. But and that kind of showed some of England's weaknesses. And if Colombia goes back and analyzes that match, they can see how England's attack was neutralized by Tunisia, and maybe do one better and completely neutralize Harry Kane today in a couple of hours here. So like I've been saying, England is not really coming to this game at top flight form, because they've been resting. They've been they haven't really been tested yet. So this is going to be their very first test in the World Cup, and I don't think they're going to pass it. They're coming in here too soft. They're coming in here too relaxed. As Colombia, it's a whole different thing for Colombia. But even before, when it was before the round of 16, I think out of the two possible opponents, Belgium or England, I think England was the best options for Colombia. I mean, looking at the coaches head-to-head, Peckerman has a lot more experience, a lot more credits to his name, and he's been with Colombia a lot longer. And this should translate well on the field. Maybe tactically, maybe decision-making wise, he'll be able to spot something and change tactics accordingly. And like I said, also, Colombia comes into this match battle-hardened, tested with a lot of positive momentum and attitude. They probably I think at this moment, they probably feel like, nothing could stop them. And I think another factor that a lot of people aren't including is Colombia has several players who actually play or have played in England, so they know the English style of football pretty well. We have Ospina, Cuadrado, Izquierdo, Falcao, Davinson, and Davinson, special note because he actually plays for the Hotspurs, and that's where Harry Kane plays. So he's probably seen him He's probably seen him day in day out, knows exactly what's gonna happen, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's telling Yerry Mina exactly how to defend Harry Kane. Also, Carlos Sanchez, he also played in England, and there's literally no better opponent than a familiar opponent or an opponent you know very well. England also plays a backline of 3, which Colombia has already beaten, like I said, against Poland. Colombia's game plan would be to take into account Harry Kane and neutralize him, then push up on all lines like they did against Poland. The downside right now that Colombia has is the injuries and the fatigues that are starting to add up, and they're probably going to continue the further we get into the tournament. James Rodriguez most likely is not going to play against England. I know a lot of people are panicking and going into hyperventilation mode, but Quintero I think Quintero is as good as James, and I don't think we're gonna miss James too much with Quintero since they're very familiar in play styles and abilities. And then we also have to consider that we also have Yerry Mina, who's starting to show his World Cup, or he's trying to show the world that this is his World Cup. So I think Colombia has more than a chance to get past England, and I think if James doesn't play tomorrow, people shouldn't be panicking or saying that the game's lost or it's over. Just positive vibes all around. Colombia can get a positive result starting tomorrow, but my starting 11 for tomorrow. So let's do this. I like this little thing that Gol Caracol does, because they give you. Before I used to use the starting 11 app or webpage or whatever, but Gol Caracol has this really neat little one where it shows it's 16-bit, so it's like a whole different type of interface, and it's really cool, and I liked it. And so again, Gol Caracol, if you're a Colombian national team fan, just go to their starting 11 builder, which looks kind of like this. Maybe full screen that so everyone gets to see what the hell's going on. And so on the side it gives you your formation, and I know for a fact Colombia, it will most likely play the 4-2-3-1. They have been playing it this World Cup, so this would be my starting 11 for tomorrow. Considering the one thing, the advantage Colombia has right now is that they know England very well, so most of my starting 11 would be a mix between players that play in England and players that don't. But David Ospina plays in England, plays in Arsenal, and a lot of the English press are not giving him any credit. They're actually pretty happy that he's in net because they think he's a really bad goalkeeper. But I mean, they haven't seen. There's 2 Ospinas, and Colombian national team Ospina is not to be taken lightly. So already there's some, they're already thinking it's a win just because Ospina's in net. Obviously here, because there's no one else for this for these positions, I would have to put Mujica right there. I would have to put Yerry Mina because he's on fire, and I don't think anyone's gonna contest that. Davinson Sanchez, like I said, he plays for Hotspurs, which is the same team that Dele Alli plays, and Harry Kane, and those two right now are in the English national team, and they might see each other tomorrow. So he knows them very well, and as a defensive player, that's really important because they're both offensive players, so he's gonna know how to defend them because he's probably defending them, week in, week out at practice. And Santiago Arias as the right back. The midfield, obviously Carlos Sanchez. Carlos Sanchez has played in the Premier League. Beside him, I want to put William Barrios. I think William Barrios will most likely start because we're gonna need some mobility in the midfield to break some lines here. So it's probably gonna be William Barrios. On this side, on the left wing, I don't know. I kind of want to put Muriel, but I mean, Izquierdo plays in England, so he might know the game better. He will probably know them better. but I'll put Muriel just because I feel like Muriel is izquierdo but with more experience and has played in Colombia. Well, he's played for the national team a lot longer than izquierdo. In the middle here, it's gonna have to be Quintero. If James isn't playing, then definitely Quintero. On the right wing, obviously, I'd have to put Cuadrado. Again, Cuadrado has played in England before. He played at Chelsea for a small stint, for a season before going to the Juve. And of course, Falcao, who has played in the Premier League as well. Like I said, he played in Chelsea and Manchester United. He didn't really have a good season there on both those teams because he was just coming out of an injury. There was a lot of high expectations from him, which was really weird. I mean, he just came out of an injury. I don't know if they expected him to score 20 plus goals. He was just relearning his position after being injured, and he just needed some confidence from the fans and the coach, and he didn't get that at Manchester United or at Chelsea. And thankfully he had a chance to go to Monaco, and that's where he got his form back, his confidence, and it really showed. The old Falcao back. Watching Monaco play in the Champions League and just watching them eliminate Manchester City, that was pretty cool. So I mean, this is my starting 11. There's a mix. You have Premier League experience almost on every line. On the defensive line, you have Sanchez. In the midfield, you have Carlos Sanchez. In the front, you have Cuadrado and Falcao. And I don't know, man. I would rather put Izquierdo, but Izquierdo hasn't really been doing it for me right now. So Muriel. So that is my starting 11. And if you guys wanna, put your starting 11, like I said, go to the link. I'll put a link on the comments or in the YouTube area somewhere, so everyone just gets a chance to share that. And it's a cool little gadget. I really like the starting 11. So I replaced the other one just because this one just, I don't know, it's just chill. It has that 16-bit type of vibe, and it gives you like a nice little list of the players you can pick. But that is my starting 11. Johan Mojica, Yeremina, Davinson Sanchez, Santiago Arias. The midfield pair, Carlos Sanchez, Wilmar Barrios. The three up top, Luis Muriel, Quintero, Cuadrado, and Falcao as the forward, and Ospina in the net. I think that's what we will most likely see tomorrow. Today. What we'll most likely see today. And yeah, that's it for me. Before this goes into 30 minutes, the post will be tomorrow. Usually I don't like doing a podcast like right after, because then emotions are high, people say stupid shit. So I'm gonna wait until the dust settles, and hopefully the post match is a positive and happy post match, thinking ahead to Sweden or Switzerland, which I think it's gonna be another tough game, but again, it's winnable. Those two teams Colombia could definitely beat. I know Colombia faced Sweden in a friendly, I think late last year or early this year. I'm not really sure. It was 0-0, but Colombia could have scored 5 goals in that game. But yeah, that's it from me. Let's see. I got the starting 11. Talked about this. Again, Colombia can win, and they can win without James. There's no need to panic. I think Quintero could do the job that James does. And I think Muriel is a positive. I mean, against Senegal, he was playing really, really well. And I was actually impressed that he came off the bench and was playing like that. Usually people try to not waste too much energy right away, but James was out, Muriel was in. He had to. That was the last. I thought that was the last game. As soon as James went out, I was like, man, that's it, we're done. But Yeremina came out of nowhere and saved the day. And hopefully tomorrow, Yeremina saves the day again. My goal prediction for tomorrow is 2-0 for Colombia, and England gets a red card in the first period. All right, that's it for me. Thank you for listening. The game is gonna start soon. Let me know, if you agree, if you disagree, like, subscribe, what have you. Let me show me your starting 11. using that cool little gold caracol app thing that's that I linked there. But yeah, hopefully happy post-match podcast, and that's it. Peace out.